All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Matt Bilgri. I'm an admissions advisor here at Johnwood Community College. I'm here today just to talk about college. This presentation is called College 101. Just not necessarily Johnwood specific. There is some Johnwood information in there, but otherwise very general, just for those students who are getting ready to start thinking about college, whether you're junior, senior, maybe you've been out of school for a little bit. Um, we serve all kinds of students, and anybody can go back to college at any time. Something we say is find your path at John Wood, and we know everybody's path's a little bit different. Some students right out of high school, they're not ready to go to school. They want to work, and they do that for a couple of years, and then they want to come back as older adults, and that's perfectly fine. And then we also have traditional age students right out of high school, ready to rock and roll and take on another adventure going to college. So a little overview, we're just going to be talking about the different types of degrees, why you should go to school, or why you should consider going to school, I should say, how to choose. There's thousands of different schools that you can choose from. How do I pick the right one that is going to be the best fit for me? All right. So moving on, we'll start off with number one, just why go to college? Um, just so something that I run into a lot with students is, Matt, I'm 17, 18 years old. I've been in school for uh, 12 to 13 years, and I just hate it. I really don't like it that much, uh, and I want to be done with it. And I get that. I totally get that. Um, but you got to look at the big picture. Why would you want to invest another 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, even 16 weeks into your education? And like I said, you got to look at the big picture. So you're here, 17, 18 years old, maybe a little bit older, and hopefully you're going to live till you're 80 or 90 years. So think of this big gap right here. So you have 60 to 70 years that you get the opportunity to work, to do whatever the heck you want to do, really. If you invest just a little bit of time into that big picture, a little bit of time, whether that be an 8 week training program for truck driver training, or do a 16-week welding program, or you go on to get your bachelor's degree or your master's degree. If you invest, 4 or 5 years or less into your program, um, just statistically speaking, you're going to have higher earning potential. You're going to have a higher job outlook, less likely to be unemployed. Uh, Having some kind of credential is becoming, or some kind of training post high school is becoming more and more of a requirement. The Bureau of Labor Statistics did um, a study of what the percentage of, or I guess the level of education that's required for the entry level job. And um, not all of it's master's degrees, not all of it's bachelor's degrees. So there's a lot of it that is a post-secondary non-degree award, which would be a certificate program. That could be like a trade. That could be potentially if you wanted to go to like cosmetology school, something along those lines. That's what you need. So, or that not what you need, but that's an opportunity out there. No more do you have to just go on to get a bachelor's degree or even a master's degree, but you have the opportunity to um, get head of household jobs with a year or less of training, or 2 years of training. And like I said, if you think of the big picture of 60, 70 years, and you can invest just 2 years while it's already been a habit while you're in high school, then um, that small investment could pay dividends down the road. So that's just a little bit about why you should go. Not saying that just because you have a degree makes you that much better than anybody else, but it does make you more marketable. Say, hey, I invested time into this craft or this trade, into myself to make me a better person, better worker, um, just better individual in society. And so, compared to somebody who doesn't have a high school degree, that gives you a leg up. Ultimately, once you get into your field and you start working, your work ethic and everything is going to help you keep that job. But the degree, at least, or the credential, is going to help you get your foot in the door and get an opportunity just that much more. So what's the difference between high school and college? Um, Especially, a lot of people say, oh, college is just like high school, and a lot of people really don't like high school. Uh, it's a pretty structured day, doing the same thing ever and ever, over and over again, I should say. You're in class 8 to 2:30, 3 o'clock every day in a non-COVID year, obviously. Then you have practice, or you have rehearsal, or something after school, where you go to work, and then you work on homework, and then you get up and do the same thing over and over again. College, I'd say there's a lot more free time than high school. You're not going to be in the same classes every day. The way it works at John Wood and the schools that I've been to, um, usually it's like a Monday, Wednesday class, or a Tuesday, Thursday, or a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, just depending on what that schedule is this semester. Um, and so you're going to have probably, instead of having 7 classes or 6 to 7 classes a day, you're going to have probably 2 or 3. And those classes may be just a little bit longer, but you're going to have a lot more free time and a lot more flexibility in your scheduling. For example, I was the type of student where I wanted to get my classes done, out of the way, and then I had to have my afternoons to do whatever the heck I wanted to do. So I had all my classes, or tried to get all my classes between 8 and 12. I had buddies that were here. They said I hate waking up for 8 a.m.s, and so they didn't have a class before 11 o'clock. And that's what the flexibility of going to college is compared to high school. You have time to work on homework, hang out with friends, sleep, um, really whatever you want to do. But I do recommend working on homework in some of that free time because, I mean, it just adds up if you don't stay on top of it. So a lot more flexibility in the scheduling. We do have online classes, or typically colleges have online classes. They have in-person classes, and sometimes a mix. There's a portion of it that'll be online, other portions that will you'll come in and your instructors can answer any questions. Kind of that happy medium between, okay, the teacher's feeding me all this information, or I'm doing it by myself. You're not on an island. You get to come in and actually talk to somebody. So that's a little bit about the difference. Gist of it, a lot more flexibility. You're going to have the time to be a grown up, I guess, uh, and do adulting things. Um, and an important thing to know is, like, with that flexible scheduling, is that typically in high school everybody moves freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. If you want to go part time and you want to take 2 years to get a year long certificate, then that's okay. Like I said, the grand scheme of things, it's not 2 years versus 1 year. It's not that big of a deal. And so you could do part time. You could still work and go to school, but just working toward that experience and having that degree will be very beneficial to you down the long run. So that's a little bit over the overview of the difference. So the different types of colleges out there. There's community colleges like John Wood, or say Lincoln Land, or Spoon River, or Carl Sandburg. Those are all examples of community colleges here in Illinois. Um, Moberly Area Community College is a college on the Missouri side. A public school would be like a state school. It'd be like Western Illinois University, University of Illinois. Um, Mizzou is a state school. That's an out-of-state state school, versus like Illinois would obviously be an in-state school, depending on where you live. Something to be on the lookout for is out-of-state schools generally cost more money because it has to do with like property taxes and things like that. Just trying to keep students local. So if you are thinking about going out of state, usually there's an out-of-state tuition fee on top of that. So just be on the lookout for that. And then private colleges, that would be like Illinois College, that would be like Quincy University, Culver Stockton, Hannibal Grange, private schools. Usually, if you go out of state on those, they're the same cost as if you were in state, but they generally cost more money. Not to say they're bad or they're necessarily better. They just the way the funding works and whatnot. So just be on the lookout for the different types that you're going, types of schools that you're going to. Um, they all offer different tuition rates, but honestly, they offer very similar programs. At least in the first year, 2 years, they all offer the gen eds, if you know you're going on to get more of a bachelor's or even a master's degree as far as your education. So be on the lookout for that. We'll talk a little bit more about why one might be better, or how to choose between the different types of schools. So just a little bit about the cost of schools. And so this is a cost comparison for an in-state public college um, in Illinois. And we've done the research on this to see what it costs. One of the myths that we see is, or not we see, but we hear that students say, well, I'm going to miss out on scholarship opportunities if I don't go to this school as a freshman. And in some cases that may be true, um, but I'll show you some numbers here. And I've done this for a couple different schools. I'll just show you the one today. But so 4 years at a public Illinois college, Illinois Public College. This is a real figure, real scholarship. I'm not going to say which school it is, but and then we also did the comparison with going to like a place like John Wood and living at home and saving some money. Because ultimately the goal is for you, if you're going to college, to get that degree, to get the diploma that says um, Bachelor's of blank from school ABC. Um, when you do graduate, it's not going to say. So I went to Mississippi State. My diploma says Bachelor's of Business Administration, Mississippi State University. It doesn't say a thing that I went to John Wood. Uh, like it doesn't say Mississippi State University and John Wood Community College. It just says Mississippi State. So it gives you the same exact thing, just the cost is significantly different. If you when you sit at your graduation ceremony from college, you'll just think about, hey, how much do I actually spend on my diploma or my degree versus somebody else, and just trying to be smart about it. Um, I think the stigma obviously is that student loans, um, everybody has to take out student loans. It's just the way of life that you have to do it. Um, and a lot of people do take out student loans, and that's fine, but it doesn't have to be the case. It really doesn't. Um, Obviously, $46,000 is still a lot of money, but you're saving $26,000 in tuition just by staying staying home or going to a community college, even if it's a different kind of community college, and not digging yourself that big of a hole initially. $26,000 could be a down payment on a house, could be a car, could be a couple cars, could be dogs, whatever it is. It could be trips. There's so many options that you can do with that money that you could be saving by coming to a more affordable school. Now, if you got a scholarship that takes your tuition down to less than a community college or less than a public school, I mean, you've got to make that decision for yourself. I'm not saying don't go to those schools. I'm just saying be educated in your decision, because student loans are a real thing. You got to think that your tuition, the tuition may be $18,000, but you're going to have to pay that for 4 years or for every year that you're in school. So you want to make sure that you're on track um, to graduate in that time frame. Um, Otherwise, it could potentially cost you more money. So there's a lot that can go into the transfer process, and it's kind of a nitty gritty thing. Um, but and that could be a whole presentation. I could talk hours and hours on that, what things to look for, and kind of navigating that. And so that's a little bit about the price, a little bit about a little touch of the transfer process. And I'd be happy to talk more about more about it to anybody who's interested. Even if you don't think you're coming to John Wood, I want to still encourage you to reach out and ask for some guidance. Um, Advice is free. We'll be able to help you out. I'm not saying you have to sign up for classes or anything. My main goal as an admissions advisor is just to help educate students on going to college. I do think John Wood's a great option. I think community college is a great option, but also know that it's not for everybody, or not everybody wants to do that, and that's perfectly fine. But we're here to help you with that. So the different types of degrees that we have, or that are available to students, there's certificates, which are not quite degrees, but they're usually career and technical based, like a truck driver training, a welding, maybe like a CNA. Um, we have some business certificates, but those can typically be completed in 8 to 16 weeks. Some of them are a year long, but very quick, very applicable to what you're learning is applicable right now to what you're hopefully going to be doing. Associate's degrees, there's really two types of associate's degrees. There's one that's more career and technical based, which is continuation of the certificate. And then there's also associate's degrees that transfer on to a 4-year option. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Bachelor's degrees typically done in 4 years. Master's it just depends on your program, honestly. It could be a year after graduate, or a year after your bachelor's degree. It could be 2 years, 3 years. Um, it just depends. I'm in a master's program right now, um, and it could be done in a year. It could be done in 2 years. I'm doing it actually in about 2.5, 3 years. So there's, like I said, there's a lot of flexibility in colleges uh, as far as those timelines and how things work. And then obviously doctorate and professional take a little bit more time, but could be beneficial if that's your route that you want to go. So certificates, I've talked about some examples of that. We have electrician, program HVAC. I know some schools have like plumbing. You can do that. We at John Wood we don't have that, but a lot of those construction trades could do that. We have paramedicine. We have a certificate in that. We have some nursing courses that could be in a certificate, uh, and just a wide variety of things. A lot of career and technical based. Associate's degrees, like I said, could be a continuation of those career and technical programs that are very hands-on, done in 2 years or less. And then also we have associate's degrees that are designed to transfer. And the main difference between those is the amount of gen eds that you have to take. The associate's degree for the career and tech side, they're going to have a little bit less. Um, the ones that are set up to transfer, they're going to be the Englishes, the maths, the sciences, the those fun gen ed courses that I'm sure you're really excited about. And then there's going to be some core classes in business or psychology or education. Um, so that's really the main difference. There's about 4 or 5 different classes between those two. Um, Otherwise, you're taking the first really year and a half, you're taking a lot of gen eds wherever you're going to go. Um, so just be on the lookout for that. Then bachelor's degrees, um, self-explanatory. That would be something that you take at a 4-year school. Um, so what's a perk of getting your associate's degree first is that you at least have that locked in after 2 years, or essentially you'd have it locked in after 2 years. Um, so if you were, um, say you're taking classes at a 4-year university and you decide to leave after your junior year for whatever reason, maybe your family member gets sick or you have to go to work for whatever reason, you don't have anything really to show for your degree or your education. Um, I mean, you've taken classes, but it's not all packaged together. So that might be a perk of after 2 years, you have your associate's degree. Um, that way you can at least kind of fall back on that as far as an education. Um, so just food for thought there. Not saying you have to do that, but those are things to consider. So how do you choose bachelor's degree, associate's degree? How do I choose a public college or private college? Um, Different things like that. Like I said, there's a lot of different options out there. So some things to consider. Number one, do some real soul searching to see, okay, what am I good at? What do I really like doing? Do I like working with people? Do I not like working with people? Do I want to get in the healthcare side of things? Do I want to be in school for a long time? Those are some important things to consider. And then once you do that, then you start figuring out which schools are going to help you, or what is the step to achieve that goal. Um, of being a teacher or being a paramedic. How do I get there? Uh, and so when you're choosing your school, make sure your school has that program. Uh, if somebody comes, I had friends that they were getting ready to go to school for a program, and I was like, "Oh, do they have this program?" And they're like, "No." I was like, "So why are you here?" and they're like, well, my friends are going there, and that's not a good reason. You want to make sure that you find a fit school that's going to be a fit for you and your path, uh, because this isn't your parents' path, not your friend's path. It's your path, your life, and so you make sure that the school that you're going to has what you really want to do. All right. Think about your financial situation. While I was at John Wood, I was thinking about going to a 4-year private school um, out of state, and I knew it was going to cost a lot of money, and I was kind of under the impression that, oh, I'll take out student loans and I'll pay it off, no problem. And if I would have went out to that school, I would be about $60,000 in debt. And I said, I was looking at my bank account. I knew that my parents weren't going to help me out a ton. And so I was like, maybe I better reconsider what my, you know, what my next step is. And so ultimately I did that, found Mississippi State, had a blast, got a lot of good scholarships to go down there. Um, and so think about your financial situation. Think about earning potential for your future job. Um, if you're going to become a doctor, maybe you have a little bit more leeway as how much student loans you can take out. If you are going to become something else, I guess the example is usually given out as teachers don't make that much money. Um, but if you're going to become a teacher, can you really afford to go $100,000 in debt for student loans versus a doctor? How quickly are you going to be able to pay that off? And you may not have a family now, you may not have a house now, um, you may not be married, or you might not have to pay for your car, but there's going to be expenses here in the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years that you don't have to worry about now. But when you have to pay those student loans, they'll come into play. So just keep that of it in the back of your mind as you're choosing the school. As far as job availability, um, that comes with, if I want to become a marine biologist and I live in central Kansas, but I don't want to relocate, is that a good investment of my in my education to go become a marine biologist and not have a bunch of water or sea life around me? Probably not. So just looking a little bit long term. I know uh, sometimes we get caught up right in front of us here. So look at the big picture, the whole 60 years of what that life could potentially be. Do I see myself relocating? Do I see myself doing this, doing that? So, and I've kind of touched on this a little bit, reasons not to choose. Just because somebody else is going there doesn't mean that um, it's going to be a good fit for you. It very well could be, but remember, you got to think about what's going to be best for me and my future family, and my future lifestyle. Um, One thing is, it says sends you a welcome packet or any kind of mailing information. I had a friend in high school who got a bunch of postcards from a bunch of various schools, and he says, "Oh, I'm getting recruited. They want me to come there." And yeah, they really want you to come there, but just because they send you something doesn't mean that you know, it makes you feel special, but it's real. Are, a lot of people get those same mailers. So just think about that. Um, and so there's like I said, a lot to consider, but we're here to help you. And so when you're searching for college, just talk to us, talk to your teachers, talk to your parents, talk to your friends. They're uh, in the same boat as you. See what they're thinking about. And so go on college visits. Um, go do some research online. Find out what programs are available. Maybe do some job shadowing, and see what other people have done. That's a big thing. If you want to become a mechanic, go talk to a mechanic. See what they did. See if they had to do it again. Um, what would they change, or would they change anything? Uh, Make sure that you aren't afraid to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. I never thought that I would have moved down to Mississippi, but I said, it's only for 1 year or 2 years. And I said, if I don't like it, I can always come back. And so I did it, and turned out to be a blast. Um, and the important what was really nice about going down there was um, of the scholarships that I got, but I didn't have to experiment by going $20,000 in debt. I spent my total bachelor's degree. I probably have less than $10,000 wrapped up into it over those 4 years. And so I'm just being smart with that, and don't be afraid to take leaps and go off and try a new place. Um, and so, yeah, like I said, just do your research, talk to other people, see if the, you know, trusted, more experienced people, I guess you could say. Um, that way, you get some good feedback. Like I said, going on college visits, every school looks good on their website. Every school looks good on a postcard or an email that they send you. They always wait for the sunny days or when it's springtime and the flowers are in full bloom. It looks really great, and it may look really great all over campus, but it may also look really great in that one little spot on campus. So make sure you get on the campus, talk to the people. Are they friendly? Do they smile? Are they nice? Are they very educated and informed about the whole process of going to school? Do they treat you like an actual person, or do they treat you like another person that's coming on a visit? And you'll be able to tell. There's some, when I was going on college visits, there were some schools I was like, yeah, I don't really see myself coming here. I knew it pretty early on, and there was other ones where I was like, wow, this is a really nice place. I'm really impressed with it, what's going on, the growth, um, all that fun stuff, how they maintain the campus. I said I could really see myself going here. So, like I said, talk with your parents, talk with your counselors, and get that real college experience. See if you can talk to students. Say, hey, do you really like it here? Do you not? Um, and again, ask questions. Ask questions. So, what can you do right now? So maybe you're a senior getting ready to graduate. Maybe you're a junior still thinking about what you want to do. And really have no clue. Just keep working hard in high school. Set strong strong study habits, strong foundation of working hard. Don't get lazy. I know it's easy to get that senioritis and start and let your grades slip down a little bit, but keep it up. Keep it up. Um, I would encourage you to take math and science courses, because when you get to college, you're probably going to have to take some of those. So just staying fresh with that. Um, number 3 says be aware of your social image. So just be careful what you're looking at, putting out there on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, stuff like all those different social medias, because colleges can go in and look at that, and uh, people send in things that they may, I don't know, about you. And so you want to make sure that you're looking good, and not necessarily looking good, but keeping it professional and keeping it appropriate, because that could be the difference between you getting a scholarship and somebody else getting your scholarship. So it's never too soon to start asking questions. It's never too late to figure out a new path to start fresh. We're here to help. We have a number of admissions advisors here at John Wood. We have a career coach. That's something new this year that we actually um, does a little bit more in depth, like really focused in mentoring, and we'll do that as admissions advisors as well. But there's resources out there. We're here to help, and just go on visits. You may not know where to start, or you don't may not know that question to ask. But just the more exposure you have to it, the better off you're going to be. Uh, and John Wood would be a great place for you to start that visit if you want us to kind of break the ice on you going on, like I said, going on those visits. We'll talk to you about the questions you should start asking, start talking about financial aid, um, how to apply for scholarships, how to get books for a very affordable cost, uh, how to work and go to school. There's so many different things, and it can be very overwhelming. I know. I've been there, uh, and I deal with it on a day-to-day basis, helping students get through it. So we're here to help. Appreciate your time today, and uh, feel free to reach out. Our numbers are here on the screen. We'd be happy to help. So thank you very much.